Welcome to Unpasteurized, Raw Perspectives from a Former Christian. Welcome to our first ever lightning round. Let's see how many questions for atheists I can answer in 5 minutes. Let's put the time on the clock and go.
What do you mean by atheism?
Lack of a belief in the specific claims of theists due to the complete absence of any evidence.
Did you become an atheist?
It happened gradually in the decade after I earned a degree in Christian theology.
Did you ever believe in God?
I believed in God for more than a quarter of a century.
What's your experience with Christians?
The ones doing the preaching have lots of money, unparalleled power, and zero oversight. They've accumulated vast wealth by unjustifiably increasing the tax burden on the rest of us.
What, if anything, might cause you to reconsider your beliefs?
Option 1, undeniable mass miracles witnessed by millions of skeptics driving obvious agreement to the same single religion, sub-religion, sect, and subsect with no room for debate or dispute. Kind of like how nobody debates whether the oceans exist or the moon is real. Option 2, show me a church that God manifested into existence instead of a church that men built with manual labor. Show me a church where God actually sits on the budget committee and redirects cash flow instead of human administrators.
Why is there something rather than nothing?
And if there is no God, why is there something rather than nothing at all?
If you flip a coin enough times, both results will occur.
Where did life come from? The origin of consciousness.
Just created itself out of here. And then you have to ask the question, wait a minute, where was the mind that thought of the accident? Mind had to come somewhere. Is there a brain in water and atoms and molecules?
Now, I take a look at the universe, and I see that everything is made of atoms. However, although atoms are ignorant, willless, lifeless, and blind, deaf and dumb creatures having no cognitive senses, when they come together and act to us as a human being, we see that the man made of them carries all these features. So, the basic question is, how can atoms give these properties to human beings, while they lack all of them?
Simple things combine to become wondrously complex things, like how rocks can become mountains or moving electrons creates virtual reality, or individual people can form complex organizations capable of feats too complex for any of the individual members to achieve alone.
Objective moral values and duties.
There's no such thing as objective moral values and duties. Even if I accepted that there was for the sake of argument, I still would not accept blind assumptions that you had a lock on the correct absolute moral values and duties. You don't.
And who is Jesus?
Jesus is whomever your tiny branch of your personal religion needs him to be to keep untaxed revenue flowing to your self-righteous mutual admiration club.
Do you believe that God does not exist?
Which God? You need to define parameters because your terms are too vague. I do believe that Odin does not exist because there's never been any sign of an Odin. Don't you and I agree?
Do you believe in evidentialism? Evidentialism is the view that your beliefs ought to be proportioned to the evidence. You shouldn't just believe something without evidence.
I am a skeptic.
You answered yes to both of them. What is your evidence that justifies your belief that God does not exist?
I have no evidence to justify belief in leprechauns, ghosts, demons, Jinni, Vishnu, Krishna, Odin, the father of Thor, El, the father of Yahweh, Yahweh, the father of Jesus, or Zeta aliens from planet Nibiru. I don't disbelieve in Vishnu because I go around collecting anti-Vishnu clues that point to an anti-Vishnu universe. I simply see no evidence of your particular personal favorite invisible magic friend's influence on this universe. Do you believe I own an invisible dragon? Of course you don't, but my invisible dragon told me that he created the universe. Does that answer your questions about the origins of matter? Of course it doesn't. Saying a magic invisible thing did it is not an answer.
Atheists cannot answer this question. We know time, space, and matter was all created at the Big Bang.
Your premise is false. Time-space as we know it emerged at the event, which was derisively and mockingly termed the Big Bang by a Christian who rejected the science. Matter and energy were contained in the singularity from which the so-called Big Bang emerged. You should study up on cosmology. It's fascinating.
But if it was all created at the Big Bang, what caused the Big Bang?
The question assumes its own answer. You assume the Big Bang had some kind of specific cause. I do not assume that the Big Bang had a specific cause any more than I assume the North Pole had a specific cause. Is the Big Bang the beginning of the cosmos? Is the North Pole the beginning of the Earth? The answer to both questions is no.
Only 3 questions that atheists cannot answer. Question number 1. Where do these characteristics come from?
Your mom.
It's an established rule that one cannot give what one doesn't have to another one.
False. Banks literally loan more money than they have on hand. The entire financial system of our planet is based on it.
Second question. Who is the judge? Who is the prisoner?
I do not accept a false dichotomy that puts everything into one of 2 arbitrary categories.
If everyone is a soldier, a commander is required. If everyone is a prisoner, a judge is needed. It's a rule that you cannot be the judge and the prisoner at the same time.
False. A gang leader in prison is the judge of his peers, even while he is an incarcerated prisoner. The judge who judged the inmate may or may not have had freedom in his judgment. Every military rank has people above them who are their judges and people below them of whom they are the judge.
What is the real reason?
The real reason for your religion is political hegemony, vast wealth, and infinite control over an unquestioning population. I had to answer you that way because nothing you said in this section made any sense to anyone who ever had to pass a science class.
If we came from one organism like evolution, right? Where all these different languages that are totally different come from?
Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Italian are clear derivatives from Latin. You would know this if you studied anything about the spread of the Christian religion. Languages are like families. Sometimes they stay close. We call that a dialect. When a dialect diverges too far from the original tongue, we call that a different language. If the Genesis story of Babel were true, it would be blasphemy for you, a Korean, to have learned English and be speaking it in your video. According to your magic book, the God of the universe divided cultures and languages on purpose. I cannot possibly love and obey anyone who would command you and me to hate each other with no possibility of ever communicating.
Now, when the Supreme Court made the decision about Roe v. Wade, we were told that by the left, including many of them secular atheists, doesn't matter what the Supreme Court says, women have the right to abortion. What do you mean right? What are you appealing to exactly?
Basic human dignity. It's too bad you don't have any, you narcissistic piece of shit.
Saw God, and I can tell you, I met God. He's been proving himself to me so much I cannot deny at all. And I've seen heaven, and I saw angels, and a lot of the people, when I tell them that they think I'm crazy or something.